Well, obviously Khalil's got he's got great size. He's shown some power. He's got to practice on a more consistent basis. We've only been one day with just uppers on, so there's still a lot to be determined. But Khalil's a great kid, and I do like him at this point. Again, he's a true freshman, so he's got a lot to learn.
What's the difference just in the confidence level approach you see in Derek now? He's had that great year under his belt compared to when he first got.
It's funny because Derek's very brutally honest, and he just said, I understand so much more this year than I did last year, whether it's a defensive call or an offensive formation or even just some of the fundamental techniques that he's been taught. And so he's definitely further along. I see that he's not satisfied. I don't see that, he is taking anything for granted. He's working extremely hard, and I'm hoping that he has a big year for us.
With so many people coming back from injury, just how did you kind of game plan for the first few days of practice, and what did you change kind of from the spring when so many guys were out?
Well, obviously when we got all those guys back, it allowed us to, go with a 2 and 3 deep. We really didn't do anything different. We knew they were coming back. We didn't want to wear them out. That was the big thing. But we've rolled some guys in, and we're just in the first day of shells. So we'll see when we get all our pads on what it looks like.
John, as the middle linebacker competition kind of starts, what are you kind of looking for from all those guys?
I'm looking for a leader. Looking for someone that has great command on the field, great knowledge, of our system and what it is we want to do. And that's a position of concern, as you guys know. And, we have a great group there. They're competing extremely hard. We're just going to have to start to sort this thing out sooner rather than later.
A lot of times that position's mentioned as kind of the quarterback of the defense. As a coordinator, do you have to have the same kind of trust in that position and that player that maybe Mike does with his quarterback?
Absolutely. He is the quarterback of the defense. He sets the front. He gives all the directionals of things, pressures and things of that nature. So he's paramount in getting us lined up and getting us all on the same page. And in order to do that, they have to have great command, and they have to have a confidence. And when they speak, the players have to have confidence in what it is they're saying and what they're hearing from him. He's clear, he's confident, he's loud, and those are the things that I think separate a lot of middle linebackers. It's not always just ability.
Does anybody head into training camp with an edge there, or is it just totally wide open?
It is totally wide open, except for you. You're not getting a shot.
Thank you.
Coach, do you want to identify one individual there, or would you be okay if it's maybe guys based on situations and games?
No, I'd really like to go in with a clear-cut guy that. So there's confidence within the defense. There's been a cohesiveness. You're not bouncing guys in and out. Yeah, you're going to rotate players, but I want it to be solid. I guess that's the best word to describe it.
What have you seen out of Justin Mark, and just how much maybe flexibility does he give you in the secondary now that you can move other guys around as well?
Justin's got the talent, and he's got great size and length. He's really, from a physical standpoint, everything that you're looking for in a corner. He's worked very hard. It's a lot for him. There's a lot of that position is so technique oriented, and you can give up big plays if you're not technique sound, and that's really been my message to Justin is learn what Coach Martinez is teaching you and apply it. And if it doesn't happen right away, just keep grinding, keep sawing wood, and he's out there battling. He's had some good reps against Pig Howard. And, Pig can run, and so that's been good for him. So.
Sean had that surgery at the end of spring. Didn't get to see him in the spring.
Yeah, he's fine. He has a brace on it and all that. But even in the offseason, he said, Coach, it feels a lot better.
Coach, just overall in the secondary, Mark and Galt, you look like you have so many more options back there. Could you just?
Yeah, we've upgraded our speed, obviously, and it's more in line with what it should look like. Are we where we need to be? No, but you're building a program. You're building an offense or a defense. It doesn't happen overnight, and to really have longevity, you have to be careful on how you do it. You know, you got to bring good character kids in. They got to have the ability, certainly, and you got to build it one day at a time. And that's what we've done, and we've stuck to the plan. And you know, you can see the progress, you can see the gains that we've made. We just need to continue to get better each and every single day. And I will say there's a lot of room for improvement for us on the defensive side of the ball. So it's exciting, but yet we still have to stay diligent with everything that we're doing.
But the same thing up front, you talk about looking, you know, kind of like you want to look. You finally feel like you have an SEC rotation.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, we're not loaded, you know, up front, but certainly we've upgraded. You know, in particular in the interior defensive line with Shai and Khalil and Quay. But you know, we got a long way to go. Make no mistake about it. We got a lot of work ahead of us.
Do you still see Chris Weather?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
The middle linebacker, in addition to being the quarterback, historically has been the leading tackler. How important is that for who you're looking for?
Well, yeah, you know, so much of today's game is on the perimeter, you know, and the days of the big Mike linebacker really are extinct. And so you got to have a guy that can play sideline to sideline. Like we talked about earlier, he has to have that command presence. He is the quarterback of the defense. And certainly, just like all of the other defenders that you put on the field, you want him to be a sure tackler. You know, AJ just happened to be our leading tackler, you know, because he's just relentless to the ball. I mean, and
so maybe going forward, it won't necessarily be the middle linebacker. Just the leading
well, you
tackler.
never know. I mean, it just depends. And it depends, you know, those two, you know, when we first got here, you know, those guys never left the field. We barely rotated linebackers. It was, I mean, even last year, I mean, Maven and AJ just had so many reps, you know. But you know, we're going to be able to play more guys. It'll be exciting. We'll see what happens. We'll see who the leading tackler is. You know, it's just, we don't ever really think about that, you know, as coaches, who's the leading tackler is. And I'm sure our players do, you know, to a degree, but we preach team defense. We teach every man doing their job and relying on each other and not letting each other down. And that's really the conversations that we have.
Do you see Chris Weathered expanding his role this season, or do you still see him as a situational player?
You know, I'd like to see Chris expand his role. There's still a lot of time left for that to be determined. Certainly you can count on him being in there on third down and, you know, us doing some things with him in regards to that. Whether it's, you know, whether he's in a rotation on first and second down is yet to be determined, and really Chris controls all that.
What have you seen from Shai Tuttle so far?
You know, Shai, throughout the spring, you know, he had his ups and downs. He was inconsistent. He's trying to figure it out. He's trying to, you know, keep up with the tempo and the pace. This camp so far, I think he's shown a much better conditioning level. Certainly going through the off season with our team. You know, he's a powerful kid. He's just got to learn technique. And really, to be totally honest with you, we've been one day in helmets and shoulder pads. The other days we're in just helmets, and so you really don't get an evaluation. But as far as his conditioning level and getting lined up and things like that, he looks pretty good.
Given what you said about the Mike position, does that mean? What you said about the Mike position and the instinct, does that mean Kurt Magid's days as a linebacker over even when you're in a 4-3 set?
No. When we go base, Kurt goes to linebacker. Yeah, we'll do that. But I mean, when you're playing, you know, 10 and 11 personnel, you want that third level, you know, the third guy to be a nickel back, so they don't know what you're doing if you're playing man or you're playing zone, and you want to match up skill on skill. I mean, that's the reality of it. So, but when you do face a team that wants to play with a fullback or an extra tight end in there, then you bring in Kurt, and he does a great job. And you know, certainly we've had conversations on whether or not to leave him at defensive end, even in base personnel. But he does such a great job as that outside linebacker that you don't want to give that up either.
John, how many guys do you have in mind?
Thanks, Coach.
I mean, legitimately.